Let's take you live to Cape Town, South Africa, where CCTV Sumitra Naidu has been keeping tabs on the 23rd edition of the World Economic Forum in Africa this week. She joins us now live from that South African city. Sumitra, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rama. Well, yes, another busy day at the World Economic Forum meeting here in Cape Town, but it is all wrapping up now. I'm joined now by Yunus Suleman. He is the chairman of KPMG Africa, just to talk about some of the outcomes. Thank you very much for joining me. Excuse me. Some of the key highlights for you that stood out at this year's meeting.
I think when I look at the comparison to Addis last year, there was a lot more excitement this year, a lot more people, the largest number of government leaders in Africa in one place, and a lot of concrete, specific actions which I think will be fundamental in actually making sure that as a continent is going to be the place to be.
I think that's, you raise an important point, concrete action. Are we going to see anything come through from here?
I think that we will be seeing a lot more action, and the fact that there are a lot of side meetings taking place in addition to the various plenary and the bilateral meetings taking place will result in key actions being very specific. So I think what I found is that in interacting with people who have been directly involved in a specific action, there's some exciting plans, and especially in infrastructure and transportation and education and health, that will be implemented in the next 24 months to 36 months.
You were at last year's World Economic Forum meeting. Compared to what happened there last year and this year, and looking at the progress, was there any progress made in the last year?
I think there was a fair amount of progress, and it's difficult to track it because the World Economic Forum doesn't have a mechanism to say the closing session comes up with specific actions for the next 12 months and then opens the new World Economic Forum session and says, well, okay, what have we achieved from what we plan to achieve? So there isn't a tracking mechanism, and therefore it's difficult to quantify. But I think when listening to the various presentations and the discussions, I think there's a lot that happens in terms of collaborations between government and business, which is really being achieved in this process.
It was very encouraging to see so many young people present at this year's meeting, obviously moving in the right direction because it's really sitting with the young generation now.
I think Cape Town is such an attraction to everyone. So this year we've had a lot more people coming, especially the global, the young global leaders, as well as the others that came with them in terms of NGOs and civil society. So there was a lot of discussion around what can the youth do in contributing to the success of the World Economic Forum. And I think one thing is also to add in terms of what's happened this year versus last year, there was a lot more activities. For example, on Tuesday night they had a state banquet between South Africa and Nigeria. And Wednesday I attended a lot of discussions around agriculture, a whole day session on Grow Africa. And that's something really extensively focused on to make sure we can have our own food security.
The agricultural aspect was really important, especially for addressing youth unemployment.
Absolutely, and I think there was a number of farmers that were in the audience as well that talked about what they have done to develop the agricultural industry and what the youth can do to able to actually make sure the growing of agricultural crops is a lot more focused to create employment for the youth.
Great stuff, Yunus. We're going to have to leave you there. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Yunus Suleman, and he is the chairman for KPMG Africa. We just heard a short while ago that the next World Economic Forum meeting will be held in Nigeria, and of course CCTV Africa will bring you full coverage of that. From me, from Cape Town, goodbye. It's back to you, Rama.
Thank you very much for that. Now, CCTV Sumitra Naidu, she was, of course, live for us in Cape Town, South Africa. That was the perspective from down south.